And welcome back to episode 2 of the now named The Bournemouth Bunch as we attempt to escape from relegation here in the Premier League. If you didn't watch the first episode, I would advise you to, because I just went through why the series and the goals of the series and all that sort of stuff. We are Bournemouth, LFC Marshall, summer transfer update. So Bournemouth are in the Premier League on a pretty shoestring budget still, and I'm trying to get them, not promoted, trying to keep them from getting relegated. Anyway, the last episode was on the first day of being hired in the game, you know, when you start off the game, so nothing had really happened to really talk about. But in this episode, we do have stuff to talk about, plus a live commentary of the first game of the season at home to Everton, which is a possible point, I suppose, if you look at it on the bright side. We've got to go through a few things. They gave us 8.5 million in the transfer, the kind of initial transfer budget, plus 90 grand in wages to work with. The only problem was that, as you know yourself, because of it's only a 3-star reputation team, you can only attract a certain amount of players. And a lot of those amount of players were actually in England already. The problem is they're vastly overpriced. Second issue was, I was looking at the squad before I made any signings, and the top wage was on like 12 grand a week or something. Now that, I suppose it's quite normal for a championship team. That's actually probably quite a fair bid for a championship player, but when you're trying to make Premier League signings, they're not going to take 12 grand a week, most of them. They all want a little bit more than that. So I've had to kind of, not break the bank, but I had to kind of put in a bit more of the transfer money into the wages so I could kind of get some guys in. So we actually haven't bought in heaps of money transfers, but yet we've only got 300 grand left in the transfer budget. We still have close to 50 grand available in the wage budget, though. And that's the way I kind of adjusted things. So I suppose I might as well get into the transfers. 4 men coming in, as you can see, a whole rake leaving. Now, actually, that kind of looks, oh God, look how many are gone. But none of these are of note, really. I went through all the under-21s and under-18s, and I found out that there was a whole pile of shit in both squads. So I released everybody that had, I think it was below 2-star. So like somebody like that, Ali Koulibaly. I've actually signed him before. Who did I do it with some team in League 2 or something? But a lot of guys that you won't know here. All with poor potential. Like I kept on to the guys with little bits, like 2.5-star. Jordan Holmes was the only one to survive from the under-18s. Under-21s there was a few more, but really it was only the kind of black star 2.5. People like Josh O'Hanlon, Harry Cornick, Sam Matthews, Josh Wakefield. And the only, I suppose, one of note was that I think Billy Cargill went out on loan to Motherwell. Now, he's a possibility of being a half-decent centre-back. And he's going to get a full season in the SBL, which is exactly what he needs. Considering it is a step up from his previous loans, which have been Tottenham, Welling and Torquay. So it should be good for him, and hopefully he has a good time there. Now, incoming, we have four players, 3.5 million's worth. But as I say, it was more because of the wage bill that the transfer budget has kind of decreased. And I suppose we'll start off with the most high profile of the lot, and that is Glenn Johnson on a free transfer. Released by Liverpool, and I think he's actually a really good signing for Bournemouth. Now, you might be saying, well, is he on ridiculous wages? No, he's not. He's on 28 grand a week, which actually, for most Premier League teams, is kind of pennies, really. Now, he's got that match highest earner clause, so we're going to have to be careful with that, just in case maybe in a year's time or something we get to spend a bit more on wages. But he's a very well rounded off right back. And even though right back wasn't actually a really needed position, we're going to put him in right back, and then we're going to I'm training both right backs. I think Stephen Francis is one of them, and there's one other guy, can't remember his name at the moment, but we're training them to be left backs because, as you guys knew from the previous episode, left back was the real position of trouble. But Glenn Johnson, first team right back, 28 grand a week, which isn't too bad on a 3-year contract. I think that's a shrewd transfer, I think, overall. Next man in, I was actually really pleased with this, was Damien Delaney from Crystal Palace for 1.3 million. Now, you might be looking at it and thinking, well, 33 years old, 1.3 million, you're slightly overspending, aren't you? But what we need is, like, initially, is just people who are going to keep us in this division. And I think somebody like Damien Delaney, a really hardened campaigner, Championship and last year in the Premiership with Palace, he's a very good centre-back. I think he's our best centre-back. Yes, he is. So he goes straight into the team. You know, he's got good heading, decent marking, good tackling, decent enough physical attributes, good mental attributes. Like, he's a fairly well-rounded off centre-back. And despite being 33 years old, I think a little transfer like that mightn't actually be the worst thing for the club. He's got 9 caps for Ireland. He's only on 13.5 grand a week, which was almost as cheap as you could get a centre-back for. And as, again, I outlined in the previous episode, centre-back was one of the positions that needed strengthening. And he was the most affordable, most good kind of person I could do, really. Yeah. So I think he could be a decent bit of business. The next two, I suppose, are more kind of punts almost. One of them being Mark Uth. I don't know whether anybody has heard of this guy before. Mark Uth. Brought him in for 675k from SC Heerenveen in the Eredivisie. Yeah, he's a German. His attributes are currently on the down. He looks a half decent kind of third striker, I think. But I was thinking that Wilson is playing. You'll see my tactic in a minute. But Wilson is playing and Kermigan's playing, and somebody's got to, like, we do have Takello Ranti. And I suppose they're kind of on a real level playing field, Uth and Ranti, but I suppose I just wanted a little bit more security in that position. He's a leading player for most Championship sides, so he kind of falls into the trap that a fair few of the initial squad members had fallen into. But I think he could be decent enough. 12.5 grand a week again on the wages, which from their kind of current situation, he's still one of the highest earners. But in normal Premier League scenarios, he is on pennies, really. And the last one was Bram Nuintink from Anderlecht for 1.5 million. Again, another guy I haven't heard of before, really. But I'm kind of quite glad I'm bringing in these guys that I don't necessarily know. They're not just the guys, like, it's not like just we have a bit of money, so let's buy Balanta, Romero. You know, I was kind of looking into it a bit more, which I always enjoy, actually, finding slightly newer people. And we got this guy from Anderlecht. He's another centre half because we needed, as I said before, we needed strengthening in that position. I think that overall 1.5 million could be a very handy deal for this guy. He's very well rounded off. Speed is probably his one area of weakness. Like, he's not an outstanding player, but he gets the job done, it seems. Heading 14, marking 13, tackling 14. You know, we got 19 under 21 caps for Holland. Only on 15 grand a week. I think that could be quite good. I think he's going to start today alongside Delaney. So and Glenn Johnson's playing. So we've got 3 newbies in the back 4. But we're going to have to see how that one pans out. But let's hope. Let's get our fingers crossed. Anyway, apart from that, squad-wise, everything else is the same, really. Joshua King picked up a nasty enough injury in pre-season, which had him out for, I think, 3 to 4 weeks. He's already whittled off 2 weeks of that, so he's out for another 2 weeks, so he'll miss the first few games of the season. I suppose the next thing is tactics, because the tactic is a little bit odd. And you might be saying it's a little kind of too attacking, and that might well be the case, and that's going to be something I'm going to have to be open to, because, you know, if it is, I'm going to have to change it up. But we've got Federici in goal, a standard back four, which, as you can see, has the 3 new guys, and Simon Francis, who's one of the guys I was trained to be left back. Initially, he was going to be the starting right back, but we've changed him to being the left back. We've got Andrew Sermon as a deep line playmaker, which also could be Dan Gosling or Ewan O'Kane. Harry Arter as an advanced playmaker support. Big fan of Harry Arter. Then we've got the 2 wingers on support, Christian Atsu and Matt Ritchie. And then we've kind of got this slightly odd working, but almost what they used in kind of the Championship in real life, where you've got Kermagant and Wilson playing very close to each other. Kermagant as a shadow striker in the attacking midfield role, and Callum Wilson as a false 9 in the forward role. So what you're kind of hoping is that actually it ends up that Wilson kind of drops back here and Kermagant goes up there, or that Kermagant kind of is here and Wilson goes up there. So that you're kind of causing a bit of confusion. Now it looks a little bit of a mess. It kind of looks a bit of a kind of bunch of players there. You're just stacking people there, and the problem I have is I think there's going to be a lot of gaps here for where they're, like, you look from the opposition's point of view, from the team shooting this way, that their 3 attacking midfielders are there, and there, and you've only got the defence, really. I initially had this role as a roaming playmaker for Sermon, because that's his preferred position, but that left us far too stretched. That being said, pre-season went pretty well with this tactic, and we didn't concede that many, but I suppose the teams we were playing were very poor. We beat Herenveen 4-1, Kermagant, McDonald, Pugh and Ritchie with the goals, beat Oberhausen 3-0, Ranty with 1, Ritchie with 2, Kiel 4-0, Kermagant with a hat-trick, Brett Pittman, beat Stuttgarter 1-0, Callum Wilson, and beat Dorchester 2-1, Sermon and Christian Atsu. I think we should get into it here and see how this goes. It could be a car crash. It could well be a car crash, but we're going to have to see. I'm willing to see how it pans out. We're going to have to change this around, because I was watching pre-season to see kind of how the tactic was going to do, but when I'm watching in pre-season, I was kind of really rushing through the games a little more than I'd probably rush through a actual Premier League game. As you can see, Tom Cleverley, of course, has picked Everton over Villa in real life. Am I too disappointed as a Villa fan? Yeah, I suppose he was getting a bit better, but his performance in the FA Cup final was diabolical, which really unimpressed me. He was so outclassed, it wasn't funny. They've brought in Nkulu, Cassano and Armero, so they've spent big enough there. Nkulu wouldn't have come cheap. Only 5.75 million, and that's a good deal for Nicholas Nkulu. But anyway, we'll see how we go here at Dean Court. A packed house, as it's always going to be, because it's only a 12,000 stadium in the Premier League, which is tiny. Jagielka heads that one away. Sermon collects, finds Harry Arter. Atsu. Now Matt Ritchie. Oh, Christian Atsu. Wilson! What a start for the Cherries! 3rd minute of their Premier League time, and it's Callum Wilson. In real life he's banging them in FM he's banging them in. Happy days. What an opener here. Ritchie plays in Christian Atsu, already causing problems as Atsu, and Wilson duly converts. But Leighton Baines, oh, it's away by Arter. Baines is a terrific free kick hitting the woodwork. I suppose, like, if this is going to work, our 2 midfielders are going to have immense seasons, Sermon and Archer. Now I think with somebody like Harry Archer, he actually could possibly do it, but I'm not sure about Sermon. And even with Archer, you never know whether the step up to the Premier League is going to be just one step too far for him. Glenn Johnson does really well to intercept. Ritchie now finds Archer. Oh, get it out to the left winger if you can. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? No. Baines sweeps up and finds Howard. Jagielka finds Barry now, cleverly. Oh no, Lukaku's in behind and he's completely lost his man. I don't know who was that. Bram? No, it was Delaney. It was Damien Delaney, completely burned for pace there, it seems. It seemed a fairly innocuous ball through from Cleverly, but Lukaku just beat Delaney completely in a foot race there. And once you give Lukaku that sort of space, he is never going to miss. And it is one apiece here. And, it's been an eventful start. It keeps telling me... Oh, no, didn't mean to click on that. It keeps telling me that there's kind of too big a gap, I suppose, between the midfield and the defence, which is possibly true. James Coleman is getting a lot of space. See, if he's overlapping, if any good fullbacks are overlapping, nobody's really going back with them, I don't think. Because I can't see... Oh, no, not on half-time, please. Oh, terrible bit of keeping by Federici. But we managed to scramble it away, and it looks like we might get into half-time here with a 1-1 draw currently in the bag, which is the case, which is a good start. But we do look slightly on the ropes here, which is, I suppose, a tad bit concerning. I wonder, is there anything we can do? Maybe just drop these guys. I know Atsu would prefer to play more advanced, but we'll see how we go. Do we go any better with just a standard 4-4-2 rather than the attacking wingers? Does it mean we're completely bereft kind of chances up front, although we haven't really created much as it is? Baines again whipping good balls in. Lukaku hits the bar. Oh, Federici just picks it up. We're making it very difficult for ourselves here. We're looking at 6s and 7s at set pieces. Like, that's the one thing I would have hoped, we could have been able to cope with his set pieces, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Barry to I don't know what the hell Adam Federici was doing. Morales here, ball into Cleverly. McCarthy even. And look where Federici dives. No, it was straight at him if he just stood still. For some reason he dives 10 feet to the right and is nowhere near it then. And we're now 2-1 down, and to be honest, we don't look like getting anything from this game. We look far too outclassed, unfortunately. Which is disappointing considering... oh, Jesus, far too easy. Lukaku is just burned. I think it's Bram this time around. And we're 3-1 down. Yeah. Well, I suppose... Like, it's going to be a long season. I'll admit that. I knew that. I had no kind of other preconceptions that it was going to be any way easy, but I suppose it's a little bit worrying how badly our defence is getting outclassed here today. Maybe we need to have a rethink of this tactic. Although we seem to have been worse since actually getting it back to a moderate 4-4-2. Here's Christian Atsu. Callum Wilson. Oh, he scored. Game on, possibly. Callum Wilson scored his second. Atsu with another assist. And we're possibly in this game at 3-2. Andrew Thurman is absolutely dead on his feet there. So bring in Dan Gosling. Will we make any other changes? Harmagant hasn't had a great game. I wonder whether actually we might as well just stick him up top. We're going to bring on Mark Uth. Uth. I don't know whether it's Uth or Uth. He's kind of just a natural poacher. I wonder whether actually if we go to just a standard 4-4-2, whether it would be just more beneficial to have a kind of just two forwards like a poacher and a false nine rather than a false nine and a shadow striker. Because Jan Kermigan seems to be... Now, it's not really his position. That's possibly one of the reasons. That's a fairly shoddy piece of keeping by Tim Howard. But Callum Wilson has scored. And we're well back in this game. And I suppose with 15 minutes to go, we might as well try and go after a win here. Harry Arter is going to pick... Oh no, he's gotten warned. Here's Leighton Baines. This could be the killer. Well, especially when Federici is keeping like that. But Sylvain Distin seemingly misses an open goal there. Last chance saloon stuff now. Christian Atsu and Richie back up they go. We'll put Francis and Johnson as wing backs. This really is last stitch stuff. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get kind of caught on the break again. It's another set piece here though. Like, that's what's irritating me, is kind of all our defensive frailties are coming from set pieces. They're not, like, I suppose with Lukaku. Oh God, it's a good finish. He's just too good, is Romelu Lukaku. He is just too good, and that clinches the game for Everton. Any small opportunity that we had of possibly getting back into this has just been snatched away. I suppose we give him, like, we've given him a yard of space there, and he's just turned and smashed that into the corner. Like, that is, like, it's clinical stuff from Romelu Lukaku, and unfortunately we've caught him on a good day, which is unfortunate from our point of view, because we could have easily caught him on a bad day. But God, he scored a hat-trick to get his season underway. Suppose you got to try and take out the positives of this game, and the positives are that we did score 2 goals. Callum Wilson got a brace. Apart from that, we're not looking at too many positives, unfortunately. The defending was fairly shoddy. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Next live commentary, we're going to come back for the West Brom game, I think. As it goes, it's actually not a bad start on paper. Like, Everton at home, that could be a... Like I said going into it, like, we possibly might have gotten a point, but that was the best we could have done. Stoke away is going to be tough. Reading's in the Capital One Cup. And then Swansea at home, Watford away, Leicester at home. Those are 3 crucial games. You know, Man U away is a kind of given defeat, I suppose. And then kind of West Brom at home. Like, the next live commentary could possibly be a must-win. Especially if we don't start the season very well. Because, you know, you get spells like these where you play Spurs, Liverpool and Chelsea in a row. City and Arsenal in a row. Is there any really bad ones if we look through the season? We're going to do it again. Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea. It seems to just be going in order again. Oh. No, Man City and Arsenal's broken up this time around, but yeah, it's good. We're gonna have to see how we go. We've got another 5 league games till the next live commentary, plus a Capital One Cup game. Let's hope we fare a little bit better, and the defence might kind of shaking itself or shore itself up even. Anyway guys, as per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. I'll see you guys later.